Webpack takes anything and turns it into a static asset module that you can load anywhere else. It's pretty awesome. So with ES6, it's important to know, well, I guess it's ES 2015. Well, ES 2016 is actually done now. Did anybody see that? They only made 2 features. Like, that's the only thing that made ES 2016, 2 features. Not even the good ones either. But it's important to know ES6 and ES 2015 because TypeScript is built on top of that. So if you just want to jump right into TypeScript and you don't know what a class is or arrow function is, it's going to be kind of tough. So it's important to know this stuff. It's got a lot of cool stuff that we'll be using. Specifically, the arrow functions and the classes are probably in the template. The string interpolation are probably some of the biggest ones we'll be using. Everything else is just regular JavaScript. Oh, and modules, of course. That's probably the biggest one. Yeah, classes are awesome. Well, some people are like indifferent about classes. Like, people like classes, they don't like classes, but it's just sugar. It's not a real class. So here's what a class looks like in ES 2015, right? It's the same thing as a constructor function you would normally make, whereas this constructor function here is the function that's going to be called when you make a new point. And that's the only difference between this and the regular constructor function you would make in ES5. So no biggie here. And then we're overriding the toString method to do this. And that toString method is on the prototype. That's it. Yeah. So note that there are no commas between the constructor function and the toString function. So we don't have to put commas in between those. So I think it'll actually break if you do, unless you silence that error. And then also notice how the toString method is declared. Also the constructor method, there's no equal sign here. It's almost like we're doing a functional declaration. So it's a little way of declaring a function in ES 2015. You can do this in regular objects as well. It's like a little functional shortcut. And it also keeps the context. So the this inside of toString is the same this inside of constructor. So those are the things that are happening here. But it all boils down to the exact same thing. A function called point with a toString prototype method. And it works the same way that way too. The context is shared, everything is shared. It's just some sugar on top of it. Any questions on that? Oh, and again, you don't have to use this. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. But you're going to have to do a lot of work around to get going. I highly recommend using this stuff. Especially this, because this is a standard. It's coming to all browsers. In fact, some browsers already have it. So you definitely should be using this stuff. TypeScript. Okay, TypeScript is another superset of JavaScript. It's another one, right? You thought you were done with CoffeeScript, but then somebody made TypeScript. And you're just like, oh my God, okay, all right, here it is. I think, the Microsoft team who made TypeScript, I think their logic behind it was they had a lot of .NET people because JavaScript is so awesome, they want to get into front-end development, and then they're just like, oh, but JavaScript, it's like, there's no types, like, what do we do? So they made TypeScript. That's what I think of it. It's literally .NET for people. It's .NET for people who came from .NET, pretty much. So that's why people who are like hardcore JavaScript fans are just like, oh, dude, really? What is this? Like, why? We don't need this. So there's like a lot of animosity around it, but as I was telling Lucas, I've come to like it. There was a point where I was just like, nope, what's the point? I don't need it. There's no point. But I'm just like, okay, all right, I get it. I'm with it. So TypeScript, it's a compiled language, doesn't run in the browser, just like most of the ES 2015 stuff that we have, CoffeeScript, any other subset you want to think of, it's the same thing. We have to compile it. The only difference with TypeScript is that it comes with this really awesome tooling. So at build time, it's going to catch errors based around the typings that you have, just like any other typing system would, and then show you those errors. Therefore, you can create really good code. But it won't prevent it from building. It'll still build. You just will have these errors like, hey, Lucas, you got something.
I was just going to say that also you saw one of the reasons is it build time or run time, it's out, but you were able to get the IDE IntelliSense. And so not only are you conveying to your fellow developers what's happening, but it's really easy for your IDE to also pick up and make some inferences of like, hey, this is just not going to work because you have said this is how it's supposed to behave.
Yeah. Yeah, the IDE support that's probably the biggest reason why I use it. Maybe the only reason I use it. So pretty awesome. So yeah, like I said, TypeScript is getting better and better and better. They don't include every single bleeding edge feature that's proposed on the ECMAScript standard, but they're getting there. They're doing a lot of stuff. So if you compare the TypeScript compiler to like the Babel compiler, yeah, the Babel compiler has more options for more experimental things, but the TypeScript covers everything that you need, plus a little more, as you can see with decorators, which is not even official, so it's pretty cool. So TypeScript is actually pretty good. I'm just like stoked of like how far they've come after they partnered up with Angular team and like released all these features. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, we have this decorator thing, which is a proposal that was submitted by Yehuda Katz. It's not official, but TypeScript adopted it anyway, and it's really, like I said, it's just a mix-in that mixes in the class. Like if you ever use React and use a mix-in, this is what this does. It's the same thing. Yeah, classes, modules, types, interfaces, decorators. Like I said, the only thing you actually have to use with Angular 2 here are the classes, the modules, and the decorators, which are really just part of ES6. So you don't have to use types and interfaces if you don't want to. You absolutely don't have to use them at all. But you should. But you don't have to. Okay, so here's the interface. Interface, again, if you've come from React, an interface you can think of as just like prop types. This is what this object looks like. This is what I'm expecting it to be. This is like a prop type for things, for everything, not just components. So this interface, this clock interface, is just describing what a clock interface object would look like, what properties it has, what those property types are, yada, yada, yada. So, and then this clock just implements that interface. So that's just saying, hey, I want this clock. This clock should be expecting a clock interface. It should be designed in a way that it looks just like a clock interface. So it should have at least those same properties that the clock interface has, but it can also have more. But at the minimum, it must have those, and they must match the types. And that's what's happening here. Any questions on this?
Would you like us to elaborate on TypeScript a little more? I know you had.
I think I'm getting this.
You getting it?
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about.
Can we get that in writing? Like, that would be a great testimonial. I think I'm getting this.
You had a question back there?
Yeah, can a class implement multiple interfaces?
Can a class implement multiple interfaces?
Yes.
Yes. Lucas said yes. I don't know how to do it. I'm not a TypeScript wizard. I think Lucas knows how though.
So for instance, on your event lifecycle hooks, then I think it's just implements interface 1, comma, interface 2, comma.
Commas.
Yep.
Commas.
All the way down.
So simple.
Can an interface implement an interface?
Whoa.
Whoa.
Hold on now.
I think you're trying to break the internet,
Yeah.
sir.
C# though?
That's crazy now. But you know what? I bet you could. It makes sense. You know. Then you're like subclassing your interfaces. That's just nuts.